Did you see it? Or are you still pretending it didn't happen? Because what went down on SmackDown wasn't just shocking, it was disrespectful. It was chaotic. It was the kind of moment that splits the WWE Universe right down the middle. And if you're not angry yet, just wait, because by the end of this, you will be. A man walked into SmackDown, a man some people still refuse to take seriously, and in one single, brutal moment, he dropped a legend. Not with a finisher. Not with a chair. Not with a sneak attack from behind, but with a microphone. Yeah, let that sink in. Matt Cardona laid out Randy Orton. And if that sentence alone doesn't make your blood boil, then you're not paying attention. The energy in the arena that night was already tense. You could feel it. The kind of tension that builds when something big is about to happen but nobody knows exactly what. Randy Orton was in the ring. Calm. Cold. Calculated. That signature slow pacing. That look in his eyes. The same one we've seen for years. The look that says, I don't care who you are, you're already in danger. And here's a question for you. Do you think Randy Orton is the most dangerous when he's calm or when he's angry? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Because what happened next? It tested that calm in a way we haven't seen in a long time. Orton grabbed a mic and started speaking, measured, deliberate like always. No wasted words. No unnecessary noise. He talked about dominance, about legacy, about how SmackDown is still his yard. And just when it felt like the segment was settling into that familiar Orton rhythm, the music hit. Not the kind of music that makes the crowd erupt in unified cheers. No. This was different. Confusion. Curiosity. A few scattered reactions. And then realization. Matt Cardona. Walking out like he had something to prove and everything to gain. Now, let's be honest for a second. When Cardona stepped onto that stage, how many of you thought this was going to end badly for him? Be real. Did you expect Matt Cardona to stand tall here? Yes or no? Because most people didn't. Most people saw a mismatch. A moment waiting to collapse. A man stepping into the ring with a predator. But what nobody expected was just how far Cardona was willing to go. Cardona didn't rush. That's what made it unsettling. He didn't sprint to the ring like a desperate challenger. He walked. Slowly. Confidently. Almost like he wanted Orton to underestimate him. And Orton? He didn't flinch. Just stood there. Watching. Analyzing. Like a snake watching something wander, just a little too close. When Cardona got into the ring, there was no immediate attack. No cheap shot. No chaos. Just tension. Thick. Heavy. Suffocating tension. The two stood face to face. And for a moment, it felt like time stopped. Cardona raised his microphone. And he started talking. Not shouting. Not trying to be funny. Not trying to win the crowd over. He spoke with something different. Frustration. Years of it. He talked about being overlooked. About being dismissed. About how every time he stepped into a spotlight, people like Orton made sure it stayed on them. And then he said something that changed everything. He said, I'm not here to prove I belong. I'm here to take what you've been guarding for years. That line hit differently. You could hear the crowd react, not fully on his side, not fully against him, but engaged. Because suddenly, this wasn't just another segment. This was personal. Orton finally responded. Short. Sharp. Brutal. He laughed. Not a friendly laugh. Not even an amused one. The kind of laugh that says, you really think you're on my level? And then he stepped closer. 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 Right into Cardona's face. Who do you think had the psychological edge in that moment? Orton or Cardona? Because this is where everything started to shift. Orton started circling him. Talking now. Low voice. Almost mocking. Reminding Cardona exactly who he was dealing with. A multi-time champion. A legend killer. A man who has ended careers with a single move. And then, he leaned in and whispered something we couldn't hear. Cardona's expression changed. Just slightly. But enough. Enough for you to know. Whatever Orton said, it hit a nerve. And that's when things snapped. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just suddenly. Orton turned. Just for a second. Just enough to break eye contact. And in that split second, crack. The sound echoed through the arena. A sickening, sharp, unmistakable sound. The microphone connected with Orton's skull. And just like that, Randy Orton dropped. Silence. Complete silence. The kind of silence that only happens when something unbelievable just occurred. Did you gasp when it happened, or were you expecting it? Because nobody saw it coming like that. Cardona stood there, breathing heavy, still gripping the microphone, looking down at Orton like he had just done something irreversible. Because he had. Let's talk about that moment. Not the hit itself, but what it meant. Because this wasn't just a cheap shot. This wasn't just an attack. This was a statement. A loud, violent, undeniable statement that said, I am done being ignored. And here's the thing. It worked. The crowd erupted, but not in celebration. In shock. In disbelief. In chaos. Half of them booing. Half of them stunned into silence. And a few actually cheering. Be honest, were you cheering or booing Cardona after that hit? No middle ground. Pick a side. Officials rushed the ring. Too late. Way too late. Because the damage was already done. Orton didn't pop back up. Didn't roll out. Didn't retaliate. He was down. Flat. Motionless for just long enough to make everyone uncomfortable. And Cardona? He didn't run. That's what made it even more intense. He didn't escape. He didn't panic. He stood his ground. Watching. Waiting. Almost like he was daring Orton to get back up. But Orton didn't. Not right away. The officials checked on him. The tension kept building. And Cardona slowly backed into the corner. Not in fear, but in control. Do you think Cardona crossed the line, or did Orton have it coming? Because this is where the debate really starts. Eventually, Cardona dropped the microphone. The same microphone that had just changed everything. And he stepped out of the ring. Calm. Focused. Like a man who knew exactly what he just said in motion. As he walked up the ramp, he didn't look back. Not once. And that's when you knew. This wasn't over. Not even close. Because Randy Orton doesn't forget. He doesn't forgive. And he definitely doesn't let something like that slide. How do you think Orton is going to respond next week? RKO out of nowhere? A full-blown assault? Or something even darker? Back in the ring, Orton finally started to move. Slowly. Painfully. The crowd reacting to every little movement. Because now it wasn't about the shock anymore. It was about what comes next. He sat up, holding his head, eyes unfocused for a second. And then, that look returned. That same look we talked about earlier. Cold. Calculating. Dangerous. And if you've watched Orton long enough, you already know what that look means. It means someone just made a very, very big mistake. Final question for you, and think carefully before you answer. Did Matt Cardona just make his career, or end it? Because moments like this, they don't fade. They don't get forgotten. They define people. And whether you love him or hate him right now, Matt Cardona forced the entire WWE Universe to pay attention. But attention comes with consequences. And next time, he might not have a microphone in his hand. He might be staring directly into an RKO. And when that happens, we'll all remember this moment. The moment everything changed.